these kids really need to quiet down. I'm just so irritated. And he was glaring at the father, who was just sitting quietly on the chair, not doing anything, just with his head down. All these kids, back and forth, do something. And finally, as the family was getting off the subway car, he turned to the man who was irritated. The father said, "I'm really sorry about the kids today. We're on our way home from their mother's funeral, and they're a bit rambunctious, and I apologize for the noise." And so the man's, kind of heart sank when he realized what he was thinking, when he had made an assumption and didn't understand the situation, that these kids were doing their best. They were doing their best that day. And that was a different best than when it was Christmas, or they were in church. That what does it mean to do our best? And in the book that we've been studying, The Four Agreements, one of the most important things that Don Miguel Ruiz says about doing your best is that it's going to change. There is no one best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment, he says. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. You may do all sorts of wonderful things when you're feeling well. Go out and help people, go to work, and then there'll be a day where you don't do any of those things. And you could say, well, you're not doing very well today, not doing a very good job. But how are we measuring that? This agreement of always do your best, the fourth agreement that we take on. After agreeing to be impeccable with our word, which means to own your Christ self and to speak your truth. To know and to speak your truth when it's needed. So that we don't make assumptions and we ask questions instead. Well, what's really going on here? And that we don't take anything personally, my personal favorite. That when nothing permeates or penetrates this Christ self of you, then there is no real hurt that can be had. The radical truth is, you are always doing your best. I see Cindy nodding. You may not always believe that, and you may have a standard, or someone else may have a standard that says best is here. And for me today, best might be right here. If I try to do anything more than this, it's going to all fall apart. So imagine a world where we believed everyone was doing their best. All the judgments that would drop. All the lives I would have to stop keeping track of to see if they've measured up to the best. Because I'm watching everybody, right? I've got a bar here. Oh, so we've installed a bar, and the bar can be really harmful. The bar is usually set by someone else, or it was set in our earlier programming, and now we continue to set the bar. I remember my mom telling me a sad story that when she was in high school, she got a report card with all A's and 1 B. And guess what Dad focused on? The B. I'm betting that's happened to some of us. Or 10 people tell you they like your outfit, and the 11th one doesn't, and which one do we focus on? How could she say that? I thought I looked really good. Oh, the power of one, I call that. That just one negative thing can take us wildly off track. I know I do it. 10 of you can tell me you like my talk, and the one that didn't, you're the one I fall asleep to. I couldn't have done a better job if I had just done my talk, so they would have like, maybe it was this line. You could guess and guess, just like when someone walks by you and doesn't say hi, and you make up a whole story about, was it the last thing I said? Oh gosh, was it something going on in her life? No, it's probably me. Most of the time when people come up and say, did I do something? You say, no, what are you talking about? But we think it's about us. And we've set this bar, I've set a bar, no one should ever not like me. it's dangerous when people don't like you. That's how I grew up. And whatever that bar is, then okay, I get to look at it and notice it. And then remind myself, I am always doing my best. I may want to up that. I may want to do it even more best. I want to do it bester. Maybe that's what we'll do. I'd like to do this bester. Acknowledging that I've done my best for where I am, for the circumstances I'm in, with the thoughts that I believe. Often say when you see people doing something that you don't like, if you believed everything they believed, you probably would be doing the same thing. Because it's driven from things that we believe or the subconscious messages that we didn't know we picked up. Kids should always behave. Becomes, I should always behave. So don't do anything that would get you any little bit of trouble. Don't take a risk. That's how we become risk averse. That's how we become smaller. That's how we let go of our talents and our skills. Because maybe you're developing something. Oh my gosh, how many poor kids have, learned to play the violin and the parents are like, oh no, and you think, yeah, I'm not great at it, so I must drop it. No, there's going to be years where you don't sound so great at some things. It may take a while to get better at it. What's great about a place like Unity or a supportive spiritual community is that you can do that growth there. Hey, I'm going to try something. We did this in school around conflict and conversations around conflict, because those are hard, right? Nobody really looks forward to those except for maybe arbitrators and mediators and lawyers who've been trained in this. For the rest of us, so we really worked on this crucial conversations when I was in school. And we would practice them, and then we would say, can I have a do-over? So if you ever find yourself and you're feeling like, I haven't done my best, or I want to do a better best, I want to do a better best, you can say that to somebody. Could I have a do-over? Arturo and I call it takesy-backsy. Something slips out that wasn't your best, and you weren't impeccable with your word, takesy-backsy. Add a little humor to it. And what we're doing with all of this, with all of these 4 agreements, I remind you from Don Miguel, is to remember that every human is an artist. The dream of your life is to make beautiful art. Take all of these agreements and our relationships and our jobs and our health and all of that, and what if we looked at it as art? How do I want to change the stroke right there? How do I want to mold the clay differently? How do I want to dance more expressively? It's art. Living it is art. So we can't always know when we look out into the world what may that be the best for this situation. We might look at our country and think, gee, nobody feels really great about it no matter where your beliefs are. Doesn't seem like we're doing our best. And it's really hard to look at the macro situation and figure out what a best is for 300 million people. And I don't know what's going on and what the truth is about those other people. And so I can come back to know what is my best. That doesn't feel like a best, but given where I'm at, what's my best? It's all we can keep asking, right? What is my best or better? Only you will know if it's your best. Not everyone will know, because they're judging by another bar that they were given. So they may think you walk on water or something that you do. Let's say you're an artist and you are criticizing your art every day, even though you've made it. Oh, it could be better. It's not like my mentor. I could be faster at this job. I could. There could be people that think you are Michelangelo. There's a street artist that I recently came across. I was on a Zoom call, and behind someone was this amazing piece of artwork. Just touched my heart. And I asked him about it. And this was done by a local criminal. A young guy who was arrested for tagging on buildings, didn't know, hadn't graduated from high school, but had incredible talent that he didn't know what to do with. So tagging a building sure doesn't seem like someone doing their best, but that was his best. He didn't know how to express it otherwise until people started to find him. And now he has his first opening. And I've been trying to get in contact to get a piece of art, and I can't even reach him. He's so busy right now. And he's still struggling with coming out of that world into a new one, but that was his best. And now his best is in a gallery. And I also believe that how he started out was absolutely a best for him to get where he is. Don Miguel says us that what you will see when you realize that everyone is doing their best is love. Love coming out of the trees. Love coming out of the sky, coming out of the light. You will perceive love from everything around you. This is the state of bliss. This is living the 4 agreements. Life gets lighter. It gets brighter. When the darkness does come and something challenges you, you can remember some new agreements that you took. Oh, gee, this hurts. I'm in a fight with my family. I can choose not to take it personally. Even though my family, we grew up with agreements that nobody ever said. But when someone's upset, the whole family's going to get upset, right? It's going to spread like an anxiety spreads. And now we're all going to get worked up. And then we have an agreement, we don't talk to each other. We talk to somebody else. So I'm surely not going to come to you. But I'll talk about you over here. We begin to triangle. Here's the thing. It's totally normal. It stinks. But it is a way for us to remove pressure that we couldn't do with the individual. So even creating a triangle is doing my best. Because I've bought into a system that says get upset, get worried, or you've got to make everybody else feel good. Did you get that message at all in childhood? Make mom feel good, make dad feel good, make your brother calm down so he won't fight with you. Things became your responsibility, other people. So when you realize that I shouldn't make assumptions because I don't know all the programming, now I have peace. I can look at a family that's upset and say, oh, this is probably a pattern. They probably have some agreements that they don't even know about. This is the power of the 4 agreements. As a summary, don't take anything personally. Because what others think is about them and their bar. And that's okay, because there was a whole bunch of wise information that went into deciding what works and doesn't work. It's adaptive. We're trying to figure out how to survive in our core. So, okay, I won't take it personally. I will know where I'm coming from and then not make assumptions about the other side. I won't make assumptions about what drives people, but I will believe behavior. Don't make assumptions about motivation and believe behavior. I don't know why. I simply know what is in front of me. And then be really mindful of what really is in front of me. Have I even expanded on that? So, someone sends you a nasty email, and let's say it's all in caps, right? And so you say, oh, that person is yelling at me. You all know that that's yelling. And then you step back and you say, okay, well, what actually happened? Well, an email was sent. If I back it off, if a person came down from another planet, didn't know that capital letters was yelling, what actually happened at its simplest an email was sent, I've added the drama. Even if they were yelling, I don't have to make it yelling. I don't have to receive being yelled at. An email was sent. I might even say, someone that felt angry sent an email and not make it personal. And yet, do I know they were angry? Maybe they were hurt. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they drank a little too much today. How do I know it's angry? An angry email was sent. An email was sent. It said these things. Now, how do I want to respond? So no assumptions. I'm impeccable with my word, where I'm at, what I need, stating our needs instead of having others guess. You should just know what I like for Christmas. I shouldn't have to tell you. All those little examples. And we don't even know that we believe them. That is why he calls it the book of lies. Any thoughts that are painful and harm you are lies. Byron Katie, on some level, the truth is actually simpler. And so we look at the assumptions we're making, being impeccable with our word, always coming from our truth, not worrying about perfect English. Be impeccable. You do you. My favorite phrase these days. You do you. You do you. Find it and do it and be it. That's the 4 agreements. And as we end on this agreement on always do your best, I also always think about Jesus. He's in every story that we do. He's here every Sunday, even if I don't mention him and his life and his story. Wouldn't one say Jesus did his best? He was out there, everything that he did, teaching, challenging authority, healing, caring for people. He always did his best. And yet, how did it end for him? He did die. He did physically die. He was unable to get Rome to bow to him. Not that that's what he was really doing. He came, as we believe, to teach consciousness. He came to teach about the power that is within us by the example of his life, and he did. So he did succeed because he knew what was his best. It wasn't what his disciples thought was the best, which was taking over Rome. It wasn't what anybody else thought. He knew his best. And he is one of the most beautiful examples of living the 4 agreements. And as I reflect on always do your best, I think about our church here. Myself, the board, all of you, and that we are always doing our best as well. And right now, our best may not seem exactly like that, but we can remember this teaching, that no matter what appears, we're always doing our best. And so, my dear ones, I have some news to share with you today. Take a breath if you'd like. So I am announcing my resignation, and I will be leaving on November 22nd. Hard to say. Very shaky. And it's what needs to happen, and it is what is best, I believe. The board and I have done our best. We have worked hard together and done much, and we just find ourselves at a place where we're not on the same page, and we're going in a different direction, and that's okay, because we know our pages, and we know our directions. And so after working to find some common ground and working with a coach and all sorts of things, I finally realized that there just was too big a gap here, and it was best if I leave. So it's a hard time for churches. I know most of you know that. The churches are struggling in many ways, like many other businesses, and some are thriving. But most are struggling COVID hasn't helped, certainly, but this is not just about COVID. There's so much stress in the world right now. So much stress that the more we can just be gentle with everyone, the better. Because there are big stories behind every story. Lots of changes. And many things that weren't quite working before COVID, it became really obvious. And that's why we're seeing in Unity minister after minister leave. We're seeing churches selling buildings, churches closing, other denominations as well. But it is, I believe, a little more serious in the Unity movement. And so we join that group of churches that I've watched over the years say, ooh, I wonder what will happen. And we are at this place of creation. I am and you are. Of what will we be creating new? Just like your new post-COVID life. Things that weren't working that you let go of, and new things that you brought in that will work. When we step back from a 10,000-foot view, we just see lots of little changes going on, and we're one of them. And there will be grieving. I know there is for me already. My throat is tight right now. There will be grieving, and I know that this community will go through that together too. I've talked a lot about grief here and there, and that everyone is grieving something. And when we come through that, so much on the other side that we learn and grow from. Never something that we would choose usually, but something that we grow from. So there is a new way of doing church that's being born that you are finding. There is a new way of doing ministry that I will be finding. It's a time of shifts in the world, and we're one of those shifts. Something new is coming. I know it. Something good is coming. And for here at Unity, it means that there is someone else who will be a better fit for you, and there is somewhere else that will be a better fit for me. Something new is coming for all of us. And this is also a chance for me to share the spiritual learnings that come out of doing this. And one of the learnings is that I didn't think this was going to happen. I didn't think it would be this way. Certainly when I went to seminary, I thought I would be in churches more than 10 years, but the average is 5, by the way. Most ministers last 5 years on the pulpit, so I doubled that. Winning. And so I don't think it's really what anybody thought would happen. And sometimes, no matter how you try, no matter how many goals and affirmations you say to get things to kind of go this way, they just don't. Like life knows best, in my experience. And whether you call that God or guidance or spirit, right? I am trusting this flow that God is putting in front of us. And I kept thinking that I could change it if I could just find another way to say something, if I could just find another way to be so that everybody liked me or we didn't have any. You can't do that. Life doesn't work that way. So when I dropped that, I then accepted what Spirit whooshed in, which is, it's time to move on. I listened to the guidance, even though it wasn't what I wanted practically, it wasn't what I thought that I wanted, I trusted. And may you do that when the choosing gets tough. And I will be available for you for the next couple of weeks. We're working out final details, so if you need to talk or process, let me know. Your chaplains are here. They're here for you today. They call you. You can reach the office to get any support. And also your board is available. Let me make sure that those that are here today stand. If the board members who are here, we have Mark Boston, we have Cindy Georgioulis, and we have Sheila Wilkins. So